because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. Just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Canarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma! Welcome to another episode of Speaking Serie B. We are moving smoothly for some teams and less for others towards the end of this season. The upcoming round is the 38th round. It could have been the last round of the season, but let's remember that we have the 34th round to catch up with. There are some new verdicts after these two consecutive rounds that we have to review the predictions of, and we're going to do that in just 1 second together with the co-host of this show. Let's welcome Jake Iovine of Città Calcio USA. Welcome, Jake. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Elia. Thanks for once again another episode. I can't believe we're almost at the end of the season. I mean, this week should have been the last week of the league, but obviously we got to make up one round, so there's still one more game. But really, until 1 week from tomorrow, then the season's gonna be done and playoffs and playouts are going to be starting, and that's what Spezia is officially going to be doing because we know that Pisa has been promoted after the results from yesterday, and as well at the bottom, Cosenza have been relegated to Serie C.
Indeed. As I said, we have 2 rounds of prediction to review, but first and foremost, I would like to thank you, Jake, because we started with this new program and, just something to try out, to share our passion. We haven't missed one episode when we had to do double predictions. We were on top of it. Now we're going to be live again next Monday, the 12th, and it might be actually the very first episode that you might not be present with. And then we'll regroup and see what we're going to do about the playoffs. But for sure, we're going to have a live at the end of the season, whatever is going to happen to both of our teams, to review the predictions that we made before this season. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your discipline with this adventure of ours, for all the time you dedicated to it, and for thank everybody who followed us for this first season of Speaking Serie B. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Elia, because you're the guy that's clicking all the buttons behind scenes. So you're the real brain of this episode. But speaking of the predictions, wow, I'm kind of nervous to look back on what I said back in, I think it was July or August,
right?
Because I already know like Canarese's prediction is going to be really, really bad. I don't think we expected Sampdoria to do this badly.
Absolutely,
so
right. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It'll be fun to look at it.
Indeed. So let's say hi to Zurowski, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name again, who writes, welcome from Winnipeg, Canada. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time. You're always with us recently, so we really appreciate you're not skipping an episode of ours. So thank you very much. It's awesome for us. At least, there isn't greatest gratification for the content that we create, that to receive interaction and see that people are actually enjoying what we're doing, at least, almost as much as we do, I guess. So why don't we start directly with reviewing the predictions we made on both rounds, the 36th and the 37th rounds of the Serie B League?
Oh, yeah, man. It's been, I feel like a lot of things have happened in like this past week. So I almost forgot that we last played on Thursday. There was a round on Thursday. So, but yeah, this was the standings going into the...
Right.
Normally
I don't do this recap, but I just wanted to show where we left it from. After the 35th round, with our little game here, Jake was leading with 9 points. He had a 9 points lead on me, 132 points scored for Città Calcio USA and only 123 for SPeZiato. Our average reads 3.62 for me, 3.88 for Jake. And there has been some changes, but we'll see how. these are the results of the 36 rounds. Jake, please do us the honor.
Yeah, so Juve Stabia beating Catanzaro in Castellamare di Stabia. Elia, you get a point for predicting that correctly. What else? Pisa defeated Frosinone. Frosinone was coming in, much improved. They hadn't lost, and I think in like 9 games or something like that. But Pisa getting a win that kind of set up their party, let's say, in Bari yesterday. So I get a point for predicting that. I also get a point for predicting, or we both get a point for predicting Spezia beating Salernitana 2-0 at the Pico. That kind of postponed Pisa's party until yesterday.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because Pisa could have celebrated the Serie A promotion in their Arena Garibaldi with a victory. Instead, they ended up celebrating in Bari with a loss. So it's kind of,
for the third straight time in Bari that a team has celebrated promotion. If you think back 2 seasons
you
ago,
mentioned that in the previous episode of SpeakingSerieB, I remember, right?
Got promoted there. Then last year it was Parma who officially clinched, and now it's Pisa. So
it's a party city.
Yeah. So, but speaking of Bari, they did lose against Cosenza, which was kind of a shock result. We both did not see this coming. That gave Cosenza
they extended the suffering of the Wolves with this victory that didn't count after the last.
I think it really was a really damaging defeat for Bari because they need points. They need a win. They had to probably win that game to give themselves a shot at the playoffs, and it's looking very difficult for them.
Probably people were expecting. I mean, we scored. You gave a 2 to Bari, and I gave an X, and Cosenza ended up winning. So none of us predicted the right outcome of this game, but it was an easier prediction to see Bari winning with Cosenza, and everybody was expecting Pisa probably to win in Bari, or at least to draw. Instead, this was a surprising result to me, at least, just as much as Bari victory with Pisa. And the points that they lost in Cosenza probably they regained at home, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. And Sampdoria hosting Cremonese 0-0 goalless. I think we could say this was a biscotto result. As we
predicted from the both of us, yes.
Yes, we both said it was going to end in a draw, and it did. Palermo Südtirol coming down from a goal down to get a victory, and that basically, and then they did beat Cosenza yesterday. That basically, I think they are safe now. It might not be mathematically, but they have 44 points, I believe. So they are safe, and
yes,
really
exactly.
impressive.
44 points together with Modena and Carrarese. You're right.
Important victory, a very impressive victory at the Stadio Renzo Barbera.
Third consecutive victory after the one in the following game that they won at home.
Yeah, Castori is working miracles there. So, let's see. Mantova beating Cesena 3-0 very comfortably. Cesena continues their kind of a rotten form at the moment, but Mantova take a big step towards safety, and I get a point for predicting that. Modena Reggiana, the derby for the relegation scrap for Cittadella. They really needed Modena to win this game. They were winning at one point, and then Reggiana scoring twice in the second half to get the win. Both get 0 points, and this is the inconsistency for Modena that we've been speaking. They've been Pisa, they've been Catanzaro, they've been Bari, but now 2 straight losses against Reggiana and then Carrarese really puts a dent in their playoff ambitions. So very, very confusing. Modena's a very tricky team to predict because sometimes they could play really good and they're one of the toughest teams to beat, and then they drop the ball in some of these games. So very, very interesting team. Cittadella Brescia, this was 1-0 in favor of Brescia. This happened, like I said, so long ago. Like, it feels like it happened so long ago that I can't remember much about this game, but it started off kind of scary because there was, unfortunately, a medical emergency in the crowd, which involved 2 fans that had medical emergencies. So the game was delayed for an hour and 15 minutes as the medical team arrived there, and even a helicopter landed on the pitch next to. Pictures. Yeah. So it was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Fortunately, the two fans are okay, according to
Yes,
the hospital that released the statement. So they're in good condition. So that's the most important thing.
of
But back
course.
to the game, it was once again Cittadella going behind early off a very preventable goal. They could have scored before then. They didn't take their chance, and then in the second half, it just nothing really came about in the attacking third. And like I said, this was a game that Cittadella really had to get at least a point in because they did not want to lose three straight games against relegation opponents, but they did. And so I mean, it's looking very, very unlikely that Cittadella is going to survive. However, they have two more home games, and if they win those games, they're at least going to get the playout spot. So we'll see about that. And I do get
Exciting
a
end
point
to
for
the
predicting
season
this
of the
result.
season. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So Sassuolo comfortably beating Cagliari 2-0. I think there was nothing in doubt. Both get a point for that. And after this round of games, round 36, I
Oh,
still
sorry,
extend my
because
lead.
I did only the total after both rounds,
Oh, it's good.
but
I
we
extend
both
my
improve
lead.
our average because we score more than 4 points. But although for me scoring more than 4 points is a pretty good week, you did even better than that. So you're
Ah,
extending your lead by another 2 points, man, with
I
two
was
rounds to
keeping
go.
track. I was keeping track. I was like, I did pretty well in this round. And it's
You
surprising
did.
because I expect like towards the end of the season, it's more unpredictable than ever because,
Right.
there's a lot of strange results. So very interesting.
Before we move forward, I just wanted to share a few words about, share a few thoughts about Spezia Salernitana. Solid performance by Spezia at home in their nest. We still perform like the Eagles performed for the majority of the season. Um, Salernitana came after two consecutive victories under the leadership of the new coach. And in the second half of the game, Mr. Luca D'Angelo selected the substitutions, and Luca Vignali was able to score a crucial goal, the second goal that closed the match, right in the moment that Salernitana was getting momentum, potentially to find the goal that would have given them the draw. So it was like the pin in the coffin for as far as that game was concerned, and it was a very important victory for Spezia, which allowed the Eagles to secure at least the fourth position. Now, with 2 games to go, we still have Cremonese only 4 points behind, and the next game in the Alberto Pico will be Spezia Cremonese. But before moving to the 38th round, let's take a look at the results and how we did with our predictions of the 37 rounds. Jake.
Yeah, so yesterday, Brescia drawing against Juve Stabia 0-0. I'd say this was an opportunity missed for Brescia because they were playing the whole second half up a man because Juve Stabia did get a red card right before halftime. So
Right.
Brescia were pushing. They just couldn't break down the defense. And, if they had won that game, that would have been a huge, huge boost for them. And they still haven't won a home game since September, which is
Wow.
quite a interesting feat. But a goalless draw. I do get a point for predicting this one. Cesena Palermo. I didn't really see this game. I didn't watch the highlights because I've been so sucked into the relegation battle. I'm only really paying
Okay.
attention to those results. But Cesena beating Palermo, very big win for Cesena, getting them back on their feet. Is it too little, too late? We'll have to see. But they're still in 9th place, 1 point or 1 place outside the playoff zone. Salernitana Mantova. Salernitana getting a 2-0 victory. That's now 3 straight home games that they have won. And that puts them in good position, 2 points above the automatic relegation zone. And they do play Sampdoria next. So if they win that game, I believe they'll officially be safe from the automatic relegation drop.
And Sampdoria
And
would be more and more in trouble.
yeah, and that too. But the interesting thing about Salernitana is they have the worst away record. In their next 2
Oh,
games are against relegation opponents away from home. So
interesting. Interesting.
it's I don't think it's over quite yet. I'm still interested
Right.
to see what they're going to do away from home. And that Sampdoria game on Friday is going to be massive. It's
What do you
basically going
think
to
that
be.
is?
Was that?
What do you think that is that Salernitana does not perform as well as they do at home when they play away? Is it because of the fans, you think?
Maybe. I mean, I don't. I mean, listen, Cittadella is one of the best away teams in the league, and they can't win a game at home this year. So it's just a strange phenomenon in
Yes,
football.
yes.
So,
Go figure.
um, but yeah, it's also for Mantova. They're not done yet. They're at 40 points. They're still kind of in that relegation race. So moving on to Bari Pisa. Bari getting the win, but it didn't matter because Pisa clinched promotion. It was a well, you get a point for predicting this, Leah, but I thought it was going to be a draw. For the last 5 minutes, the Pisa players were just kind of passing it back and forth behind the defense because they knew that Spezia had lost, and
Right.
the result really didn't matter. So yeah, Pisa getting the results, but for Bari, it's a big win for them. We can't underestimate that because they're at 47 points, still in that playoff spot going into the last two games of
Same
the
points as
season.
Cesena. Yeah. Indeed.
Yes, correct. 𝐏𝐫𝐬𝐭 Modena, I think this was result officially, well, maybe not officially, but really sealed 𝐏𝐫𝐬𝐭's place in next season's Serie B, and they're only 3 points behind the playoff spot. So
congratulations. Speaking of predictions, I did not see this coming. Also because I think the major the major, how do you say, protagonist of this performance is probably the coach, because they don't have great individualities in the team as far as I know. So this is a positive surprise, through the right ideas, the right mentalities that you can have even, let's say, average players perform above their potentials when they are coached correctly and you put good ideas on the field. So congratulations to them, no matter the rivalry with Spezia. Awesome
Me too. Yeah, I have to give my flowers to 𝐏𝐫𝐬𝐭 because I think they proved everybody wrong. Everyone basically said they were going to finish last or in the be relegated, and they're just a machine at home also, because they've gotten 10 of their 11 wins have come at the Stadio dei Marmi. So they're just a really, I don't know if it's that the turf there, the fake grass, that's the home factor, but it's congratulations to 𝐏𝐫𝐬𝐭, because I think this is a very deserved salvezza. Let's see here. Südtirol Cosenza. This was the game. Cosenza officially is in Serie C. Südtirol, kind of like 𝐏𝐫𝐬𝐭, this win kind of puts them safe from relegation. Castori has done really well, but Cosenza
was leading 0-1, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, and then Südtirol came back. Cosenza got another red card. So Cosenza's officially down after, I think, what is it, 7 seasons, something like that. But I know how much we sympathize a lot with the Wolves and Max Salvini. So they'll come back stronger, I'm sure.
It's the end of an era in the Serie B league for Cosenza. We'll see what happens with their presidency, the ownership of the club, and all. Best of luck to the Wolves.
Speaking of end of an era, it could be the end of an era for Cittadella, because they still cannot get a win. That's now 8 games without a win. They're picking up the wrong form at the wrong time. 1-1 draw against Frosinone. They came back in this game for for the first time in a while, since they've gotten the point when trailing. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was kind of like speaking with other people. This is a game that this was a point. This was a result that really didn't fit either team's agendas, because Frosinone, as good as they haven't been losing a lot of games, but they are now 5 games winless, and their next 2 games are away against Palermo and away against Sassuolo. So they're 1 point above the relegation playout zone, and this win could have propelled them higher and put them in a much better, more comfortable position. But now, after this draw, this was very damaging. And for Cittadella, they had a chance to kind of close the gap, because Sampdoria drew Brescia drew, Salernitana won, but this was, now they know that if I kind of already wrote down the scenarios. If they lose against Bari and Brescia avoids defeat against Modena on Friday, Cittadella will be officially relegated from Serie C. To Serie C, I should say.
Got it. Lega Pro. So the only way out for Cittadella is not even through direct avoidance of the relegation, but the only way out at this point is through the playouts.
I was only doing scenarios of how Cittadella could get relegated. I don't know like how high they could go. First of all, they likely need to win the 2 games that they have. That would put them at 42 points. 42 points. And
I think that's the same amount of points with which Spezia avoided relegation last season. I might be mistaken, but 42, I think.
Yeah, or that should at least get you the playoffs. And considering they have to play Salernitana, they would jump ahead of them if they win that game. And so I'm pretty confident that 2 wins is good that's good. Cittadella knows that fate is in their own hands and they don't need to worry about anything else but themselves. And they have 2 home games against Bari and Salernitana. If they win those games, they have another shot at staying up. But 4 points maybe will be enough. I can't guarantee that. It's unlikely.
It depends on the results of the other teams, of course.
Yeah, because there is a scenario where they could officially be down if they draw. We'll get into it in a little bit, but it's like I said, this is a draw that really doesn't help anything. And I think this was a good game from a neutral point of view, if you were a neutral fan watching this, because both teams were really going for it. Normally at the end of the season, you see maybe a draw, the 2 teams are okay with the result. They don't really want to risk anything, but both teams like kind of knew they had to win this game. So it was going back and forth. There was a lot of chances on both ends. It was very tense, so you could see the tension. So this was a pretty good game.
Yeah, I bet. Also because Frosinone, let's not forget, is coming down from the Major League, from Serie A. So Cittadella last season started very nicely, and then they did a particular second half of the season. But it might not be that surprising to find Cittadella fighting until the end of the season to maintain a spot in the Serie B. But for Frosinone, here is the double step down, the double jump down backward, which they're trying to avoid. So next game is Catanzaro-Sampdoria. Jake.
Catanzaro-Sampdoria, this was a kind of a back and forth game. Sampdoria actually took the lead, and then Catanzaro coming back. Sampdoria scored through Massimo Coda, who I believe he finally scored after a long time. I feel like he hasn't scored in a while, and that broke a record, I think, in the leading goal scorer. I'm not quite sure about that, but it's
like 48 once again of a player scoring in Serie B season.
Yes, something like that. I just saw something. I didn't read much into it, but I think it was a big deal. I think this is kind of another one of those results where it kind of didn't help both teams, because Catanzaro have not been playing well. They've only had 0 wins in their last 6. And they have to play Sassuolo next, so that's going to be no easy game. And they're only 2 points in the playoff zone. So this was an opportunity for them to win, and they didn't. For Sampdoria, yes, it is it's another positive result in a way that they get a point. But with Salernitana winning, this puts them in a situation where they could, like Cittadella, be officially relegated on Friday, depending on the result, and they play Salernitana at home, and that's going to be like a playoff before the playoff for relegation. So then now they're 2 points in the automatic relegation zone. So yeah, I think this is a result that maybe doesn't really suit either team.
I was talking to my wife, to Eva, about it, but even to some friends yesterday before the live post game, I said, Sampdoria relegation would renovate my trust in the game. No, I really don't wish anybody bad things. You know how I am. I rather achieve good results because of merit, not hoping on somebody else's mistakes. But really, knowing how I see it, my conspiracy theories, yes, should Sampdoria go in Lega Pro, then I would regain, renew my trust into the game.
Well, don't count them out, because what if they get relegated, but then they get the ripescato?
That would be awesome.
That would be, yeah,
exactly. That would be no surprise to me, baby.
Just like just how Brescia did that like 2 seasons ago. You know, when they got relegated and then they came up because of Regina's failures. So
right.
That'd be funny.
Kidding aside, let's move on to Reggiana Spezia and Cremonese Sassuolo. I'll leave you to it. I'll be back in just 1 second.
Oh, yes. So Reggiana Spezia, I'm sure Elia, once he gets back, he could talk a little bit more about this game. But this was a game Spezia were leading, and then Reggiana came back to get a 2-1 victory. That's now 3 straight wins for Reggiana to put them really, really sitting pretty in 13th place with 41 points. They put themselves in a really good position. They looked dead and buried like 2 weeks ago. Now 3 straight wins. This has put them right in the driver's seat for the Salvezza. I get a point for predicting this. For some reason, I just felt like this was a game Reggiana was going to win, and they did.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I guess so. So, Elia, I guess you could maybe talk a little bit about this game.
First of all, allow me to grab this opportunity. If I got sidetracked and distracted a second, is because we are in the final stages of coordinating the next live we're going to have tomorrow. Actually, we have another live before that, right after this SpeakingSerieB episode. But tomorrow, there will be a live for the members only of our YouTube channel. We will be recording what is going to be the base of our 21st episode for the rubrica, for the program, the podcast of the Eagles fans, Spaziamo sullo Spezia. After the recording, we will be editing the episode, and it will become public probably after the playoffs or the playouts. We will be recording with Mr. Philip Playtech, the ex-president and member of the family who recently owned our Spezia Calcio. So, wow. Sorry if I got sidetracked, but we are finalizing just the last time and such. So there have been some last minute updated. Originally we scheduled for 3. Now we are moving things around because everybody has his own priorities and they're busy, of course.
Congratulations.
So, sorry for that. Thank you very much. Speaking Serie B, meaning speaking about Reggiana Spezia, this was an unexpected defeat for Spezia, but a well-deserved one. Reggiana really deserved the victory. First of all, historically, the Reggio Emilia away game for Spezia has always been very difficult. We played a bunch of time together, especially in the 80s and in the 90s, in the what used to be the La Serie C, Lega Pro, and only 3 wins for the Eagles in Reggio Emilia, not only at the Mapei Stadium, Stadio del Tricolore, but also in the older stadium, if I'm not mistaken, and 9 draws, and we yesterday lost 10 losses. So only 3 victory, 9 draws, and 10 losses in Reggio Emilia for the Eagles. Spezia started as usual, in a very strong way, and dominated throughout for the first 20-25 minutes of the game. We reached the goal that allow us to lead the game, and right after that we dropped the ball. We just got, like, if the players got deflated. We really started to not underperform, but the pace of the players, probably because too tired, maybe mentally exhausted after trying to catch up with Pisa. I don't know, but basically a few minutes before the end of the first half, Reggiana was able to score the equalizer goal, and well-deserved one, because they were just attending. They were just waiting for Spezia to play their own game, and they were really stinging us with the counterattacks. And in the second half, we just figured, guys, if we're going to play as we played in the first 20 minutes, there is no way we're not going to take this game home. And right even before we got the chance to impose our pace, Reggiana scored Very good goal, a very nice goal with Gondo, if I'm not mistaken, the 2-1, and then they just dominated us throughout. So well-deserved win for Reggiana, unexpected defeat, especially for the way it unfolded for Spezia, that now has to prove themselves in our nest, in our Alberto Pico, in the next game with Cremonese. Is the final countdown, the final showdown for the Eagles at home before facing the already relegated Cosenza. This leads us to the next and the last game of the round, which was Cremonese-Sassuolo. Jake.
Yeah, this was Cremonese had a chance to kind of close the gap with Spezia. They did. They get a point in this I said Speziato. Elia, you do get 1 point for predicting this. But, Cremonese, I don't know. I guess, well, it looks like Sassuolo is not taking their foot off the gas. I thought they would because they've already got first place.
Which I appreciate, of course, for sportsmen's purposes, that's the way it should be. Sassuolo should not be Scansuolo, you know what I'm saying? So they should play every game till the last, go break all the records, whatever you want to do, but you gotta play for the game, you gotta keep it clean.
I will say, Elia, I think you have a strong, passion for because of Sassuolo, because I remembered everybody that 2 seasons ago when Spezia were in Serie A, if they would have survived, but if it wasn't for an error by the Sassuolo goalkeeper Andrea Consigli against Verona, who
he got outcast, poor guy. He's still owned. He's still a player for Sassuolo, but he no longer plays. Like, he has to train on his own. It's kind of a sad story, by the way, the Consigli story. I read an article before the two teams faced each other. But,
I was wondering, where is he gone? Because he hasn't signed for another club. He hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's just fuori rosa, they say. It's like he's out of the rooster. He trains, but he has to train on his own, or with those players that are coming back from loans. He's not part of the team anymore, although he is Cartellino. He's still a player owned by Sassuolo. Anyhow,
very interesting. Well, let's see.
Let's move on with
for next year.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know, maybe they'll just trade him. So this leads us to the final result of the predictions. And we do improve, again, our average, but I can't catch up points on you, man. You're just unbeatable. Congratulations, Jake.
I'm a machine.
5-5. And this leads us currently, after the 37th round, without counting the results of the round 34, which is yet to take place, with an increased lead by 11 points now. The lead that Jake has is by 11 points, 143 to my very modest 132. Our average has improved 3.67 as far as I'm concerned, and 3.97 for Jake. So again, congratulations. It is not over yet, because there are 10 games each round. So
20.
Should you score none and should I score them all, I can still make it.
There's 20 points on the board.
Yeah, there you go.
On the table.
All right, this leads us to the prediction for the upcoming round 38. The first game of the round 38 will be Palermo-Frosinone. Do you want to start? Shall I start?
Sure, I'll start. So this is a very felt game, I'd say, maybe for Palermo, because this is obviously the infamous playoff a few seasons ago where Frosinone threw the balls on the field for the playoff final. For Serie A. So Palermo has not forgotten that, and they are playing at home. And what better way to get revenge is to win this game and really put Frosinone in a really difficult spot going into the final game of the season. So I don't know, because Palermo what did they do? They lost, I think,
2 consecutive losses. Yes.
Yeah, so I thought they were getting form. They were beating Catanzaro. They beat Sassuolo. But, man, it's just still unpredictable, and I don't know if I could trust them yet. I'm going to say a draw in this.
All right. I agree with you, Jake. I agree with you for various reasons. Only 2 wins in the last 5 games for Palermo. Frosinone needs point, but they are going to play in Palermo after all. And I do hope that Palermo can't win this game, in light of the fact that it could be a very uncomfortable team to play against during the playoffs that Spezia will have to do. So I do hope that they can drop a few positions so that at least Palermo will have to face more teams and potentially get eliminated through the playoffs and end up not facing our Eagles. Let's remember that both teams are, by the way, they have the logo of an eagle. So it's an X for me on this one as well. And that leads us to Pisa-Südtirol. Pisa-Südtirol is a game that has a completely different meaning now that Pisa is already automatically promoted. Südtirol, as you said, is moving towards a very comfortable a very comfortable end of the season, maintaining the league, 44 points, 11th place, together with Modena and Carrarese, 3 consecutive wins for Südtirol, and Pisa, most recent loss in Bari, does not prevent them from the promotion that they were missing for over 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. They also won in the past European Cup. So it was the European Cup of the teams that were winning the Serie B league. So congratulations. I mean, they have a very nice history as a club. So I wish them well. Potentially, I hope Spezia can face them again in the Major League. It would be a nice derby to bring in the Olimpo del Calcio. Pisa-Südtirol at this point, Filippo Inzaghi said that they really had to spend a lot of energies to perform as they did throughout the season. But everybody keeps saying that Pippo Inzaghi's teams are losing momentums, are losing performances towards the end. So yes, I think he still has a lot to prove. So in between the two teams, I think Pisa is a better team. So I'm going to go for a 1 because they want to celebrate in the Arena Garibaldi with a victory potentially. So it's a 1 for me on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pisa is in second place no matter what. You know, they've probably celebrated quite a bit from now until yesterday.
Oh yeah, I saw some images and all. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. They might be a bit hungover, or you know, they're definitely. I don't think they're going to be less motivated. Let's say than I don't. Well, you could say the same thing for Sassuolo, and we've seen how Sassuolo has been performing recently. So I don't know. I think Südtirol is in like really good form, and if they win this game, then all of a sudden they go into the final game of the season with the chance to possibly get the playoff spot, and they do play Bari. So if they win that game against Bari at home, there is a chance that they could leapfrog them and into the playoffs. So
it has happened before, right? In the first year in Serie B, after the promotion, they did reach playoffs. Südtirol.
Yes, it was under Bisoli. They were
right.
They were in 4th place until the final days, and they dropped into 6th, I think. So I'm going to say a 2 for this. Not only to disagree with you, but yeah, I think they'll get.
You might be able to get this one. Yeah, no, I see it. I follow your thought process. You may be right. Absolutely. Spezia Cremonese, you're up.
Oh, I'll actually deflect this to you because I want to see what you predict first.
So we're going to have the episode of Spazio al Prossimo right after this live. We're going to be starting at 8 p.m. CET, and I'm eager to see what Giovanni Gardani, giornalista for Cremona One TV and La Gazzetta dello Sport and Corriere della Sera, has to say about the Grigio-Rossi, because they're coming. They haven't lost a game since February 22nd. They're coming from 9 consecutive positive results, 5 draws and 4 victories. So Spezia, on the other hand, hasn't been this persistent, this consistent with results. So in Tutti Alberto Pico arrives a very healthy team that really wants to win this, to try to, snatch away the 3rd place from us. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are 6 points still to potentially be gained, and we are only 4 points apart. Spezia, on the other hand, needs to win this one because we have to prove ourselves, they have to prove the fans that they're still a solid team, able to perform as they should through the playoffs. So we would need this victory at home, as we did with Salernitana, also to reach the playoffs with a more relaxed and confident mindset. So although it might not be the case, I cannot not predict a 1 for me on this one, being the fan that I am. But it's going to be an open game. You're up.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because, well, Cremonese basically need to win their next two games to have any chances of getting the third place. But I'm already thinking of Spezia still has to play an already relegated Cosenza at home, so you have to think that they should win that game, and that would
But
basically.
with what mood Alvini is going to come back to the Alberto Pico, trying
That's
to,
true.
you know what
That's
I mean?
true. So I don't know. Like you said, Cremonese is in really good form. Like you said, they haven't lost since February. I'm looking right now. They in their last 10 games they collected 17 points. That's the third most in Serie B. So
Wow.
they're currently, I think, are hitting good form at the right time. Um, it's just I don't know because Spezia hasn't been great either, or they haven't been consistent in the recent times. I'm going to say an X for this, only to disagree with you, but I think Cremonese will still continue their good form.
All right. Yeah, Spezia has been performing differently in the Alberto Pico, but definitely we're not the team that we were in the first half. We have a lot of injured players, key players, like Soleri, which is the second striker that scored the most right after Francesco Pio Esposito. La Padula scored in the game with Reggiana, but it didn't count much since we lost 2-1. We have Rezza that ended the season. We have Degli Innocenti, which is basically Salvatore Esposito replacement that has ended the season. And we're going to be missing Salvatore Elia, which is a right wing for this crucial game. So it's going to be a difficult one, a real game. Mantova-Carrarese, do you want to start on this one?
Sure. Yeah. So Mantova-Carrarese, Mantova has a chance to basically solidify their status in Serie B next season. They're playing a Carrarese side who I think are safe. We can definitely say that they're safe. They have 44 points. I don't see them going into the relegation spots at all in these next two games. And if they do win this, they'll be right on the playoff spots. However, I don't really trust Carrarese's away form. I think Mantova has too much to play for, so I'm going to say a 1 in this case.
All right. I'm sorry for our game. I do agree with you. It's a 1 for me on this one as well. And I would like Carrarese to win at this point because I would rather have a team like Carrarese at the playoffs, which doesn't have many chances to achieve the major league right now, given also the economic situation of the club. But Mantova has too much to fight for this game, and yeah, they're playing at home. They need points. Carrarese, they are relaxed with 44 points. They achieved their goal for the season. So yeah, it's a steady one on this for me. Modena Brescia. Modena seemed to be really launched to claim a playoff spot, but then in the last 5 games, 3 losses, 2 consecutive losses, and now sitting in 10th place, 3 points away from Cesena and Bari that are occupying respectively the 8th and the 9th place, while Brescia comes from 1 draw and 1 victory before that. So, and they really need to pull themselves out of that fango. How do you call the fango? Like that mess. I'm going to try to look up the translator, but it doesn't matter. So Modena Brescia is probably going to be an X, but it's not going to do good to any of the teams. So I don't see Brescia winning in Modena. So it's an X for me on this one. You're up.
Yeah, well, Cittadella is going to be rooting for Modena in this match because, like I said, if Cittadella lose against Bari and then Brescia just picks up a point, they will be relegated. So they will be hoping Modena does something in this game. Modena is just kind of dropped it because they were in a good position to qualify for the playoffs, but they have those 2, bad losses against Reggiana and then Carrarese. That's kind of, put them in a situation where they kind of have to win this game to put themselves back into that playoff spot. I think Brescia has gone away wins against Spezia, against Carrarese.
Again, I keep on saying Brescia did not win that game. Was Spezia that lost it. But anyhow, I don't think Modena had the playoff spots as an achievement, as a goal at the beginning of the season. Am I wrong?
Right. But they're there, and I think
Right, no. By now, they can almost taste it. By the way, before I was looking for the word fango mud. Brescia has to pull themselves out of the mud. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say an X for this because I don't know if I could see Brescia winning, and I don't think Modena is gonna lose 3 straight games. It would be shocking.
Right. Yeah. So. Unfortunately, for the sake of our game, we agree, but at least it tells us something. Next game, Cittadella Bari. It's yours to predict. Could I kindly ask you if we could speed it up a bit?
Yes. So,
we had the goal of 45 minutes. We already reached it. Sorry, Jake.
Yes. No problem. Yeah. So, I mean, now that Brescia has, I predicted them to draw, Cittadella needs to win. And so I haven't even predicted Cittadella winning just because of, the reverse psychology and the mind games. At this point of the season, I have no idea. I have already said that I don't think Cittadella is going to make it this year. I'm just trying different things. So I'm going to say a 1, and I'm just going to throw it out there.
All right. I wish you guys well. Honestly, with Bari, I believe right now Bari is a better team than Cittadella. Just they lost. They won with Pisa in Bari, and they lost with Cosenza in Cosenza. So it might actually be a team that you can win against. But at home, as you mentioned earlier, you're not even. How many wins did you were able to collect this season?
No wins this year, only 1 point.
Wow. No, this gotta change. So this gives me one more reason to agree with you. It's a 1 for me on this one. Come on, Come on, Città, go.
All right.
Sassuolo Catanzaro. Catanzaro has definitely something to fight for because currently they are sitting in the 6th place with 49 points and only 1 point lead on Palermo, 2 points lead on Bari, which is the last spot of the playoffs. And Catanzaro only drew 3 games in the last 5, losing the other 2. So they're not in a great shape, and they're facing Sassuolo that has nothing to fight for other than for the records, but keeps on winning and drawing. So it's going to be an interesting game. And since Catanzaro likes to draw, I'm going to predict an X on this one as well. So X for me on this one. Jake, you're up.
Like you said, Catanzaro has a lot to play for in this, much more than Sassuolo, who has already clinched the first place. But I think, what is it? Oh, Sassuolo still have another home game, so I think they'll lift the trophy in that one. But I'm still going to say a 1 in this. I still think Sassuolo is just the better side.
All right. Next game is Juve Stabia Reggiana. You're up.
Yeah, Reggiana. Well, like I said, Reggiana has really rescued themselves. They have had 3 straight wins, but now they're playing a very difficult Juve Stabia team in Castellammare. Where are they right now? They're currently 5th place. They have a good point. They have a good advantage over 6. And listen, if Spezia beat Cremonese and Juve Stabia win this, they'll only be 1 point behind that 4th place spot. They could definitely snatch it. So, I think there's still a lot to play for Juve Stabia in this. Can Reggiana win 4 games in a row? That'll be quite incredible. So I'm going to say a draw for this because, I think a draw.
All right. So Juve Stabia Reggiana is in good shape, but if Spezia didn't drop the condition as they did, the rhythm, the intensity as they did in the first 20-25 minutes of the game, there was only Spezia on the pitch. So they did convince me for how much they wanted it. Great, by the way, great fans, performance, great choreography. It was just a shame that the Spezia fan couldn't follow the team in Reggio Emilia. Look, Juve Stabia, as you said, is a very healthy team, is in good shape. They got something to fight for. It would be nice, probably potentially, to face Spezia, Juve Stabia, the 2 Esposito facing the team of their sitting at the playoffs, although I see it unlikely. But in between the 2 teams, 4 wins in a row for Reggiana, it's quite a bit. So it's a 1 for me on this one. I see Juve Stabia being to be the team to win. Sampdoria Salernitana. This is a crucial game for both teams to avoid relegation. Let's say hi to our friend Thom, who writes us, ciao. Hey, Thom, thank you for being here. Let us know what you think about our predictions. Sampdoria Salernitana. Salernitana wins at home but doesn't win away. So Sampdoria needs to score point. They normally get the first goal and then they get, the other team catch up with them and they end up losing. Maybe this time it's not going to happen. So it's another one for me. I don't know if I predicted any two this round, but it's probably Sampdoria is going to be able to win this one.
Oh boy, this is this could be a very, very dark day for Sampdoria and for Italian football, because Sampdoria could be officially relegated in this game if they lose. Man, this is this is a really tough one to predict.
Yeah.
For 𝐵𝑒𝑒𝑙𝑎, this game kind of doesn't mean anything because one of these teams is going to drop points, and 𝐵𝑒𝑒𝑙𝑎 just needs to win to have like really any sort of chance, and they're going to be paying attention to the Brescia game against Modena. So no way Sampdoria can lose this game. I cannot see them winning. Also, Salernitana is away form. They haven't won a game away from home since October. I see Sampdoria getting the win in this. That would give them some life in this relegation picture. So it's a 1.
All right. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to pronounce the crucial words. It's not a great prediction for the sake of our game, but hey, guys, this is what we think. So it is what it is. Cosenza-Cesena, this is the last game of the upcoming round 38. You're up.
Cosenza, their last game at home in Serie B since they've already been relegated, and I think they are condemned to last place because they can't get over 𝐵𝑒𝑒𝑙𝑎 on the head-to-head. So, listen, Cesena has everything to play for. I'm going to predict a 2 in this, also because I don't think I predicted a 2. Or yes, I did with the Südtirol, but yeah, a 2 for me.
And I agree with you. As much as I am sorry for the Wolves, I think that they're just, even mentally, they gave up and they've already lost the category. So nothing to fight for the Wolves. It's a 2 for me on this one. And this concludes the our predictions for the upcoming round of the Serie B League. We will be live again with our SPeakingSerieB next Monday, the 12th at 7 p.m. CET. If you want to find out how well we did with our predictions, Jace potentially could not be with us, but he's going to share his prediction with me for the upcoming round, which is the 34th round that needs to be caught up with after the 38th. We thank you all for being with us, and Jake, wrap it up.
Yes, you could follow me, 𝘚𝑦𝐿𝑢𝑠𝐴, 𝘚𝑦𝐿𝑢𝑠𝐴.com on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You could find that stuff out. And penultimate match. The next time we talk, 𝐵𝑒𝑒𝑙𝑎 could be officially in Serie C. So,
hopefully not.
Speriamo bene.
Speriamo bene.
Vediamo. And even in Serie C, we'll still find a way to make it work. So thank you, Elia. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next Monday. We will be speaking Serie B.